Got it. All right, so now we're actually going to start asking some more serious questions and moving into the panel time. So if you guys want to give me those cool whiteboards, thank you very much. So first, if you guys just want to introduce yourselves a little bit and tell us how you met, your engagement story, and how long you've been married, that would be awesome. So we can start with John and Elena. If you guys want to tell us, again, introduce yourselves, how did you meet, what was your engagement story, and then how long have you been married?
Okay, my name is John Philo. This is Elena, now
Hi.
Philo.
Now Philo.
I met Elena here at Grace Church. I was sitting right there. I was sitting over there. It's a little weird because that's where I always sit.
I sat over
thought it
here.
was
You
there,
sat
but
over there.
This is way bigger.
Apparently, we went to this church and never knew each
Yeah.
other.
So we went to the same church for 3 years, and I had never seen her. And it's not like this is that big of a church, but I've never seen her for 3 years.
And I did come. I was
Yep,
here.
she was here. And one day, I'm sitting here talking with my friend, and I'm like, who is the brunette? And then I saw her go talk to my friend's mother-in-law, and I said, dude, you got to give me the skibby on the brunette. He's like, I'm going to dinner with her tonight. I'll let you know. So
His mother-in-law, not me.
yeah. So, yeah. And then the rest was history. I immediately went up and spoke to her. And
Immediately, about a month later.
yeah, it took forever. Yeah. And
So-
our first date was on Easter.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was on Easter.
A classic first date.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Time.
it's a good time to go out on your first date that
Yep.
evening. So, engagement story. Our engagement was short because basically about
Just-
a week after we
Let's go.
started dating, I was like, "You're gonna marry me, so let's make this fast."
Yeah.
And really, I guess the fun part with the engagement story was that we didn't really tell anyone. We more or less made it a little bit of a surprise.
Yep.
We told him about a week before we eloped
Yep.
that we were engaged.
I was like, I probably should tell my dad. And
That was a good
lives in
choice.
Ohio,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
maybe I should probably tell my dad. I need to tell my dad.
Yeah. So that's the other part of it is that we did elope, but we eloped back in September and have been married for 6 months now.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And now Josh, Anna, what about you guys?
I'll say how we met.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I was actually dating someone else when we first met. But
Scandal.
I know. So strange. We met at a church softball game. It's the first time I ever met him, and he was out on the field playing, and he was wearing this really cute, like 3/4 length shirt.
He's like, yep.
But he was just so cute, and I was like, crap, I'm dating someone else. But then so I was on the phone with my brother-in-law like a few weeks later. I'd already broken up with my boyfriend because actually that night I realized I should probably break up with this boy if I'm already thinking I like this other guy. So I broke up with him, I think I don't know, that week. And I wasn't expecting anything to happen with him, but I was just like, okay, I probably shouldn't be with this guy. And I was on the phone with my brother-in-law. He's like, hey, let me call you right back. And all of a sudden, I get a phone call from Josh. And I'm like, I don't know him. I've never even spoken to him before. Like, really. Like, we said hi to each other, but that was it. And my brother-in-law played a trick, and so he said the same thing to Josh, let me call you or call me back on this number, and it was my number. And so that's how we first started talking.
We
and
started through lies right off the bat. A bunch of lies.
But my brother-in-law kind of set us up, and then we went on our first date.
So any guys with girlfriends, stay away from other guys with 3/4 length shirts. It is not going to go well. Stay far away.
Killer.
Josh, you want to tell us how you got engaged?
Yeah, so I got to think about how to say this. We were at a pirate party, and I really didn't mean to get engaged. But throughout the night, I got so caught up in the pirate party, wearing the costume, and she looked like a beautiful...
As one would.
Yeah.
As one would.
Yeah. So as any pirate would, I was like, hey, come with me, and I wound up proposing.
We'd only been dating for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was a mess. So I didn't really plan on it, but like I was like, come with me, and she's like, no, and I was like, you got to come with me. And she's like, why? And I was like, and I took off. I had a plastic skull and crossbone ring, and I was like, I got down on my knee, and I said, I want you to be my wench. and I said I want to have a little
Okay.
buckaroos with you, and I proposed to her with a pirate ring. And
So
she-
Anna, was this the dream engagement that you'd always?
I go, are you serious?
and I said, yes, look at the ring. Of course I'm serious.
That is an incredible story. So how long have you been married?
10 years.
10 years.
in July.
10 years in
but
July.
we got, like y'all, so that was June 27th or something that we got engaged, and then we got married on July 29th of this, or a little over a month later, and we called our parents on Monday, the 27th, and said, hey, we're gonna drive down to Clearwater and get married on Wednesday morning. If you guys want to come, that'd be great. And so we did, and they came.
But
They
wait.
stopped work and came.
We had special guests in our wedding.
Oh yeah, there was, because we just got married on the beach, and there was, nothing was planned at all. We just walked onto the beach and got married. His uncle married us, and there was this guy, like a very,
Big
very
guy.
large guy, walking back and forth, and he's in all of our pictures.
And he was wearing a Speedo,
He was
and that's
wearing a
it.
Speedo.
But he's in all our wedding pictures.
Nice.
Very memorable.
So
moment.
nothing you really want to frame. These are like hide them away.
We did frame them because they're just so funny.
That's good. All right, so I want to ask, did you have any doubts before the wedding? How do you know when you're ready to get married? So we can start with John and Elena again, and you guys can say, was there any thought of like, I don't know, like or was it all good? How do you know when you're ready to be
Well,
married?
I can tell you that we've both been married before, and we kind of gave everything to God, and we're like, listen, and we even said at the beginning, I know I said to her, I'm giving you the full John. I'm like, here's John, here's all my quirks. I don't care if you don't like them.
Even the pie one? You told her about the pie quirk
I-
immediately?
Everything. And I'm like, I like I'm doing this right by telling you and giving you the real person. I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to try to be cool because I already know I am.
Yeah,
And-
the real John is cool.
Yeah,
so
the
you
real
don't have
John's
to-
real. And I'm like, here you are, And I think I knew I was ready because she's like, I love it,
Yeah. Yeah, and there was no doubts. And I think that's the biggest part is that when you have a question or you have something in your mind that maybe it's not just right, like those are the flags that you pay attention to. And you kind of listen to. And so, a little kind of backing up a little bit before he finally introduced himself to me, which took a month again, I was already in a place where I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm happy to make more friends, So the mother-in-law that he was telling you about was like, hey, there's this man. And I'm like, that's really great. I'm happy to make more friends, but I'm not interested in dating anyone at this point. I'm super happy. Great relationship with God. I'm good. Don't need it. And God was like, this is the perfect time to bring someone to you. And to trust in that was the coolest thing, and to see that and how it's worked in our lives and how blessed we've been in so many different ways. So no doubts whatsoever, because we really both felt that was where God was leading us.
Awesome. Josh, Anna, were there any doubts as he's holding a pirate ring up?
What say you, wench?
yeah.
So I knew I wanted to marry him, and I felt like God had him for me. But yeah. But he and I broke up. Or we got together, we broke up. We got together, we broke up like 4 times, and it was like really hard to like know that you love someone and feel like you want to marry them, but then they just keep on breaking up with you. And so, wow.
That might cause some
I
difficulties.
felt like the pitiful person, but I just was like, man, like, God, like, why do you keep bringing this guy back into my life? And like every single time you bring him back into my life, I'm like, I know this is who I'm supposed to marry, and I sound like the crazy girl who I'm like, I'm gonna marry you, and he's like, ooh, but like, I was right. So I was just nervous about that, but like I knew that I wanted to marry him, so I wasn't like nervous about marrying him. I was just nervous about what he would be like.
Right.
I was terrified. I had tons of doubts, but like the only thing that kept it going forward was this was number 5, and I committed, and I gave her a pirate ring, and I had a deadline. Like, I had a date, so, like,
Not his fifth wife.
not my fifth
It's
wife.
like, clarify five.
no,
Let's
time we were
talk about that.
we
We'll forget
dated
these
on and
questions.
off. I was a guy who couldn't make up his mind on something, and I was kind of all over the place, and it was just very hard for me to be committed. So like that was terrifying for me.
So
But-
what made you finally decide to like take the leap and just like, when did you know that you were ready to get married, I guess?
Like this week,
This week you finally
10
were
years
like-
later, it's
10
like,
years
okay, I'm
later.
ready for this thing called marriage. No, it's, I think once it was done, I just said, okay, I'm married, and now I can become a good husband over time. That sounded like
Did it
a
take
question.
a little bit of time, man? Cool, thank you guys. So what surprised you most after getting married that you didn't expect ahead of time? So let's actually start with Josh and Anna this time, and we'll
All
work
right,
this way.
repeat the question, please.
Sure.
Thanks.
What surprised you most after getting married that you didn't expect ahead of time?
It is not like the movies. Like,
No.
I thought like marriage and like romance and adventure, and what came after marriage was like bills, responsibility. Someone has to clean up after her or after me, and expectations were really challenged after marriage.
Well, and like for me, like I was 22, almost 23 when we got married, and I had just like gotten into my fun party stage. Like I was like, this is fun. I'm gonna go enjoy everything, but then I was like, crap. I have to ask him if that's okay, or like tell him like, and we have to like converse about this. I couldn't just make decisions for myself anymore, and that was the hardest thing for me when we first got
You
married.
were locked down.
Cool. John, Elena, what about you guys?
We kind of talked about this question a little bit before, and I think what has been the most surprising for us is how easy it has been. Not to say that, please don't excuse that as there's never challenges or there's never moments or stress or things like that, but how easy it is to be a spouse with him, to be a co-partner with him. Like that's been the best thing and the easiest thing and the most surprising thing as well is that there's just not been challenges.
Okay, wow. And so were there any, like, so you've both been married before, were there any challenges that you thought, like, that you were prepared for going into marriage again that maybe didn't come up that was shocking, or
Well,
or things that you were already prepared for because you had already been married?
I think kind of like what I said before, where, you know, you've already gone through it one time, and you know what didn't work, you know what was challenging, and you know where what is the hardest thing to face is, and you kind of go at it a different way on your second go around. You know, I'm not saying everybody needs to go twice, but I'm just saying like, I'm saying that we kind of knew where we were at before getting married, and I think that we expected. The surprise was we haven't had any issues, and we've had some major life changes with selling a house and.
We decided to do all the major things that you do
Yeah.
in marriages within the first 6 months of
Yeah.
ours.
So, but we knew where we would be at mentally, I think, during those challenges, and surprisingly, we've just been best friends the whole time. I mean, we'll get annoyed every once in a while with each other, but it's humor that
Right.
brings you right out.
Having
you know?
a sense of humor is very important.
Cool. So this next question is, we all hear a lot of times like, oh, the most important thing in a relationship is that you got to put God in the center of the relationship. What does that mean to you guys? And why do people say that that's so important?
I'm going to just
Yeah.
jump in here.
Yeah,
Here
go
we
ahead.
go. Yeah, stand back. So relationships are hard on a good day. Relationships can still be challenging. So when you think about the foundation of what the two of you believe in together, it's very important to have something structured and something that is big like that to really, if you think about building a house, to lay that foundation and for it to be strong. So when you think about God and you think about having the same beliefs, that eliminates so many different arguments, and it eliminates so many different challenges in your relationship as a whole because your mindset is already on the same page.
And not only that, but the things that you don't agree on, you can always go back to God as your foundation, as something that you do agree on. and then work on it through that. So
Well, and I mean, the Bible talks about being equally yoked, right? Equally yoked, in my mind, does not always necessarily mean that we're both in the same level of our faith. We're both, right there head to head. Sometimes it means that one's got to be a little bit stronger to help pull the weight with the other one, or kind of balance it out that way. And that's also something that we do for each other, is that when there's doubt, when there's question, or where there's, maybe not relying on God as much, without a shadow of a doubt, I know John has pulled me back. And same thing for him. It's just that reminder of keeping us centered and focused of where God is in our life.
Awesome. Josh, Ann, what do you guys?
You guys did great with that answer.
Boom.
I'm going to look at my notes again.
All right, we can move on to the next one. How do you handle serious disagreements and arguments or differences in communication?
Let's start right here
Yeah.
because this happened today.
We almost didn't come tonight.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is relationships are difficult. We had to actually tell Lily this. Lily's my 6-year-old daughter now. Wave, Lily. All right. So we had to tell her that in relationships, sometimes you get in fights, and she witnessed a fight today, and that sometimes you have to apologize. Apologizing is really, really tough sometimes when you think you're right and the other person's wrong. But in a marriage, you're both right and you're both wrong at the same time. So I think how to handle conflict is I had to swallow my pride a lot and say, okay, this is probably her point of view, and I had to ask, okay, what's your point of view in this? This is my point of view, and I almost walked out. I was just like, I need to go, and I wanted to escape, as I like to run from disagreements, but we worked through it and we talked through it, and it turned into a great afternoon. But disagreements are hard, and if guys and girls,
They do happen.
yeah, they do happen. But I had to really just say, God, how do you want me to treat your daughter in this? And that was convicting for me, because I just wanted to be like, peace, I'm out, drop and run. But
Forget your kids.
yeah, I got kids. We got a place together. We got that just wasn't
And here's the
realistic.
diaper bag while you go.
So I think how to work through that is really just sit down at the table and go, I'm probably just as responsible for all this crap that's going on as you are. Let's kind of fight through that and talk through it and apologize a lot.
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, John,
Is
Elena.
that it?
Yep.
Yeah. We've not had a major disagreement now, and again, it's not to say that we won't. I know. It's so warm. So warm. It's not to say that we won't one day, but we think alike in many ways. I expect one day there will be a big disagreement, but I think the biggest one we've had so far is whether or not he could use his metal detector to dig up holes in a house that we were renting.
I say I'm gonna bring my metal detector, right? And everybody's
Still a
like, cool,
sore
that's
subject.
cool. The house was built in 1905. I'm like, I'm gonna find some cool stuff. I bring my metal detector, and everybody there's like, oh, you can't dig holes. And I said,
That's a quarter, 8
well,
inches
what do you do with a metal
down.
detector? Anyway, I heard one time somebody say, you don't keep score on your team, right? So if you're in basketball, you don't tell your other teammates, hey, listen, this is how bad you are right now, and how much I'm doing better. So when I can tell you in the past that I would get in arguments, and I would keep every time she was
Ticker.
wrong in my head, and I'd pull it back out later and be like, this time, and this time. Do you remember that? And that goes with keeping score on your teammate. I mean, this is my teammate. This is the only teammate I have. So you never want to keep score. You want to treat your spouse as you would treat you. So it's like you guys are one, and you would never keep score on yourself. So why would you keep score on the most important person in your life, So I always think of that sometimes, like when I know I'm right, just try not to fight the battle. Just know when to fold them,
And know when not to bet me.
know when not to bet. Yes.
There's a lot of
Awesome.
British period drama he's watched lately.
All right, so let's move on. have you changed as people since being married? Do you feel like you're the same as you were before you were married, or have there been major changes in who you are? Discuss. We can start with either group.
No, because I mean, our relationship as a whole has not been super long, but I don't know. I knew I wanted to be with him, and I knew I wanted him to be my husband. So I don't know that there's been major changes since before or after.
Well, I can say wholeheartedly, yes, there has.
It's when I don't wear makeup, isn't it?
No,
Is this going to be your
you're
first major
asking-
disagreement?
The question is, how have I changed?
Yes.
Yes, so I have changed in the sense of I actually have somebody that uplifts me, is on my side, even though I may be wrong, would still be on my side. I'm not saying that later she wouldn't say that I was wrong. but She
Privately.
would stick up for me, and morale and just self-confidence and all that has changed. So I know when I was by myself, I was down in a hole, and now I feel uplifted. So
Aw.
I can say that.
Josh, Anna?
I don't know if you want me to answer this.
you should answer this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you the same person?
I feel like when I talk to myself in my head, I am, but I don't know. I mean, I know I've changed. I've gotten more mature because I'm old now, but like, yeah.
You're
I can answer that
33.
one. What?
You're 33.
No, 32.
Oh, 32.
So here's how
Make me older than I am. Man, she's old.
here's how she's changed, and I'll tell you how you changed. Is before marriage and those responsibilities, it was just about me, like what's going on, and now you've got little ones to take care of. You got me to take care of a lot of times, and it's just like you've become a great taker care of.
Take her
Caregiver?
care
Yeah.
of her.
Yeah, because, caretaker, thank you from the audience. I
Good job,
appreciate
Lucas.
that. Bing. But you're the glue that holds the family together, and, you weren't that before, so you're doing good. Good job.
You let him know when he's being a real Gastofferson.
Yeah, good stop.
Oh, I do let him know. That actually is the one thing that changed before.
That's another thing that changed, yeah.
Before we got married and beforehand, I was like a super I can't say anything that will make anybody mad. I gotta just smile and nod all the time. And then when I got married to him, I was like, well, I already got him. Now I can say whatever.
You locked him down, and now it's time to let him know what's up. Makes sense.
That's how I've changed. Don't know if that's good, but
All right. So we all know forgiveness is important in marriage. We kind of talked about disagreements earlier, but how does having a good mentality about forgiveness help in marriage?
It's huge. Forgiveness, I think, in any relationship, but marriage especially, because going back to John's point about not keeping score on things, when you keep score, you've not truly forgiven. Because when you forgive, you may not always forget, but you're letting it go. And it's not something that needs to be an argument or needs to be something that is an issue in the future. So forgiveness is a big deal. I know, I will say this to anyone, John is extremely more kind of a person than I am. So I need his forgiveness quite often. And I need to know that I have that available to me. I'm going to still feel bad if I say something wrong or do something wrong, but I need to know that I can rely on that forgiveness.
Josh, Anna?
yeah, I mean, I just think about how the Father forgives me all the time. And so when I feel like I'm holding on to something that has frustrated me or is Josh has done wrong to me, I'm just like, Jesus would forgive me this already. It's already forgiven. And so why am I holding on to this? And so that's how.
And now Josh is giving the All right. So you all have kids. Do you ever feel like you are too busy for your spouse? Does it ever feel like maybe there's, and how do you overcome that feeling of running out of time to spend time with each other?
I mean, we're busy, but we're still a team, I guess, with all of it. So I respect, like, when he's got stuff that he needs to do, that's on him, and the same thing with me, like when I've got things on my plate. Definitely having 3 kids now creates a whole different element of busy in our lives when it comes to different events for each child and what's going on with those and da-da-da-da, and who needs attention or who needs homework help or who needs whatever. But I don't know, John has a very, very good knack of still making me present, even in those moments. So even if it's just a quick note or it's something else, like just making me feel part of it and not ignored, not, left alone or anything like that. Like he's just has a really great knack of doing that. So even after the day, if we can have an hour with each other, that's usually
On the couch.
sitting on the couch. Yeah. I mean, that was last night too, of like, I just want to sit on the couch and watch a movie with you. I'm like, okay, cool. Kids go to bed. Time for a movie. Don't you, me, you were still up until like 10 o'clock at night. So we lost sleep. You did not.
And then she got the hiccups.
And then
And I'm like, I grab her, I'm like, I'm gonna smack you if you hiccup again. And then she
Prince
hiccuped,
Charming, y'all.
and I pretended to smack her, but she
Instead hit
stuck
my
up her
hand.
hand, and then her hand goes BAM! And then she was mad at me and fell asleep.
Well, it's kind of hard to
My
watch a
hiccup was
movie when
gone.
somebody's
The hiccups
taking
were
it the whole
gone.
time, right?
Yes. It did work, but no.
So I had to watch the movie by myself.
I was asleep beside you.
Josh, Anna?
I tried to, like, there's a saying, like, 2 birds, 1 stone. So I tried to, like, how can I spend time with the kids and the wife? How could we do family time but still make her feel like a queen? Like, trying to figure that all out, which I haven't figured out after 10 years, but I'm getting there, I think. One day I might. But, like, we did a family date today, and I thought it was really cool. So I think, like, chunking things together might
The most
be
efficient
good. Yeah.
manner.
We still haven't figured that out.
Yeah, I don't
With,
know.
like,
The answer, I don't know.
kids threw a wrench in everything, and we love them dearly, and we're so glad we have them, and we wouldn't want it any other way. But we still don't know what to do with them and what to do with us. Like, we just have not figured that dynamic out yet, and so, yeah.
How has your marriage changed from before kids and after kids? And I guess like going from
never
1
not
to
had
3
kids.
or I guess Josh and Anna.
Before kids, there was a lot of like, hey, let's go out and take the boat to the.
Do anything.
Yeah,
but we
let's
can't.
go. Now it's just like, hey, let's go. Oh, who's gonna go to the store? Who's gonna watch the kids? Who's gonna do that? It's I love you, Lily, but you're an anchor sometimes.
She seems fine with it.
She doesn't get it. No, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and we came with our own. So his, mine, and ours, right? Well, we don't have ours, so we're not having ours. Not doing that. So for us, dating someone with kids is a little different than dating someone who has no kids at all. And that was something that we had to kind of balance as well. But both of us being parents already, it gave us a different perspective because we understand prioritizing our children and the importance of them being included and involved. So, I mean, when we even started dating, I think, Gia and Rocco, for one, had a vote of whether or not we were allowed to start dating. Remember that at Papa Mike's? Yeah. So they made the decision. It wasn't us. They made the decision that we were dating. So there's always been that inclusive nature with our children as well, but also because we have been married previously, they have other parents, and so they do go and spend time with their other parents in addition to when they're with us. So that gives us some flexibility to have moments now where we can be like, let's go do something, and we go. So it kind of balances out a little bit that way for us, but it's just a different situation. Not saying it's the right or the wrong, but it is what we work with.
But just know, everyone in here, that when you don't have kids, you still maintain a lot of freedoms that you do not have when you have children. When you have children, you go from, figuratively speaking, a kid to an adult. And when you become that adult, that is no longer is it you that you think of, it's your kid. And it's every single thing you do in your life, you put that child first. And so, yeah, my best friend's having a birthday party, but there's no one to watch the kid. Or I have somebody that could watch the kid, but I don't really trust that person too well. It's child only. You skip your best friend's birthday party. It's your freedoms are limited, very limited, until they get older, of course. But even then, your freedoms are still limited. So just know that once there's a baby involved, a child involved, you are now you are now an adult and
Very
must make adult decisions.
And let's transition to the next question.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, right.
So, how do you choose to love each other every day, even when life is difficult or when things are hard? That's kind of an abstract question.
Yeah.
I understand. So,
It's not hard to love John. It's not hard to give that love to him because it's something that I enjoy doing, and I enjoy having with him. So I don't have a better answer for this question. I tried thinking about it. I'm like, oh, let's add some, issues. I'm like, there is no issues. There are no issues. I'm like, it's very easy to love him and to prioritize him. So I don't have anything else to
I
give you.
think that you start your relationship out with love. You ask that person to marry you because you love them. And the rest of your life, things are going to try to get in the way. Regardless of what it is, they're going to try. Stress is going to pile up on top of that. But you know you love that other person, and you know you can always go back to that. Even though it may be hidden under a whole bunch of other stresses, you can always go back to that love.
Well, and I'll even add a little bit to that as well, is that love is great. It's a great emotion, and there's many highs and lows of it. And it's good that you have consistency of it in your relationship, but it's also very good that you have a friendship built. So that sometimes maybe when you love them, but you like them less in that moment, that you still have that friendship. And I've never felt that way about you ever, never. You still have that friendship to kind of bounce back to. So, and that's kind of what John was saying, like, he is my best friend. He is absolutely the person that I think of first that I want to tell things to or want to joke about. And all the inside jokes that we have are ridiculous at this point that no one would understand. But we have a friendship. We have a friendship, we have a faith in God, we have a friendship, and we have a love. And that's kind of a really great trifecta for us.
awesome. Josh, Anna, what about you guys?
Well, I guess, love is not just a feeling. It's not. And you think that it is when you're a kid, and you think that it is when you watch these adorable romantic comedies or Disney movies, and it's they make you feel something, and you're like, oh, it's love. I just feel so loved. I love them. And it's true, I have sometimes those feelings for Josh, but I do sometimes, not all the time. But it's a choice. Love is a choice, and I think that's how you worded your question. Choosing.
Yes, how do you
to love.
choose
Yeah, it's
to love each other?
it's a choice, and it's how do you choose anything? You just say, I'm gonna do this, and you do it.
Interesting. Awesome. Do you have any final thoughts? Any advice that you would give yourself as a high schooler or middle schooler that is watching the romantic comedies and feeling like that? What would you say to that person?
I would say, first of all, look at those movies, those books, and just set them to the side, because that's not always what reality looks like. I mean, no one ever says what happened after Cinderella got her slipper. No one ever asked, well, was she still cleaning floors?
You say happily ever after.
They say happily ever after, and that almost should have a ... with it, is because you do, or asterisk, right below. So first off, don't look at those as examples of the perfect relationship, because I hate that word perfect. I don't think that has any place whatsoever in any kind of relationship, because it will always take work. It will always take commitment on both your parts, and some days you got to raise the other one up, and they've got to raise you up. So just take your time. There's no reason to rush. I know emotions and I know feelings and I know love is very powerful. It's a very powerful thing, and it's meant to be that way so that you are attracted to someone in that sense. But take your time. Don't base it all off of that, because like I said, love goes up and down. It'll stay strong, but it also has its waves, right? Take your time. There's no rush for this. Wait till your later 20s. Please wait till your later 20s. Make a choice later on. Get through your 20s, your party stage, and figure out who you are, because you will change. Your maturity is going to change. Like, spend some time getting to know you and God with you before you go into any kind of major relationship in that sense.
Yep.
Date, figure out, have your heart broken. It's going to suck. It is what it is.
Yep.
But learn yourself, and learn yourself with God first.
Yep. And find somebody that believes the same thing you believe, and through God, you guys are a couple.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. That's what we did, and it's just been an adventure. So start with God as your foundation.
Yeah, if I had to go back to middle school, high school, I think one of the things that I would do if I were sitting in, with you guys hanging out, I would say find some couples that you want to emulate, that you want to be like. Spend time with them, maybe help watch the kids. They'll pay you. Like, I will pay for babysitters. You just heard that. Spend some time with couples that you guys want to be like. Right? Yeah, that was a good ad drop. But spend time with people that you want to be like, and then ask questions like, hey, don't be afraid to, because I go here to this church, and you guys will see me walking around with Jimmy outside and such like that. So if you have questions about life and marriage or relationships, ask, because I will tell you probably more than you want to know, but the only way to know is to ask, or to be around other married couples, and you'll hear things that, that will hopefully help you not get into the troubles that I've gotten myself into. So I'd say be around couples that you want to be like, or that you want to be like later on or something.
Awesome. And any final thoughts? Or?
I think that was good.
Boom.
Nice
Awesome.
job.
So thank you guys so much for coming out here.
Thanks for
there it
inviting
is.
us.
Thank you.
You all did an
Thanks.
amazing job.